It's Friday, May 17, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Barbados gets the thumbs up from the International Monetary Fund and passes its first review under the Extended Fund Facility. Visiting IMF Deputy Chief of the Caribbean Division, Bert Van Selm, delivered an upbeat report as he wrapped up a 10-day visit today. He told a news conference at government headquarters that Barbados continues to make strong progress in implementing its ambitious reform program.
Barbados continues to make strong progress in implementing its ambitious and comprehensive economic reform program. International reserves, which had reached a low of $220 million, 5 or 6 weeks of import coverage at end May 2018, have more than doubled since then. And the completion of the domestic part of the debt restructuring has been very helpful in reducing economic uncertainty, and the new terms agreed with creditors have put debt on a clear downward trajectory. The authorities have started the reform of state-owned enterprises by tightening reporting requirements and by shedding excess staff. All programs for end March under the EFF have been met, some with wide margins, the program target for net international reserves, for example, and also the target for central bank and net domestic assets. The target for the primary surplus, central government grants to state-owned enterprises, central government domestic arrears, and social spending were all also met.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley welcomed the news but told reporters there was no time for celebration just yet.
We have to stay the course. I will be jubilant and skinning coffins when I see Barbados having to import labor. I will be jubilant and skinning coffins when I see all forms of international business and all forms of buildings having been completed. The transformation of Carlisle Bay and Spikestown and Oistins. I will be jubilant when we have created, as I will shortly announce, a new deal for public servants and housing in this country. I will be jubilant and skinning coffins when we restructure the unjust common entrance. I will be jubilant and skinning coffins when we finish restructuring the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the geriatric hospital, and all of those other things. In other words, I will be jubilant when Barbados has truly reached the first signs of transformation.
The IMF report came on the same day the European Union Council removed Barbados from the EU's blacklist of non-cooperative jurisdictions. In a statement, the Council explained that Barbados has committed to addressing the EU's concerns. Prime Minister Mottley says it's a significant development.
That insurance companies that could have left us will not now do so, because they will not be prohibited from doing business in Europe as a result of the blacklist. So this has tangible meanings for us as we go forward. It doesn't mean that the battle is over, because we live in a world, quite frankly, that persons will want to continue to extract every competitive advantage that they can. And competitive advantage also comes from the perspective of the imposition of rules and bureaucracy that will act as a non-tariff barrier in real terms to keep some countries uncompetitive.
In other news this Friday, there has been a decline in the number of deaths related to domestic violence on the island. Word of this from Vice President and Crisis Coordinator of the Business and Professional Women's Club of Barbados, Marlene Hewitt. She spoke to journalists following the closing ceremony of the Domestic Violence Seminar for law enforcement officials at the Regional Police Training Center at Sewell Christchurch this evening.
The work of all the CSOs and the government and the education and sensitization has seen some reduction in terms of murders. But you're seeing an increase in calls because people are becoming more aware, they're getting educated, and they recognize that they can call the hotline, or they can call, say, another women's organization who will in turn call us. We've also noted lately that the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is calling us even more than before, because they recognize they can call and advise the person to ask us maybe to house them if it is that serious a case. We always got calls from the police, so we're seeing more calls, and I think that's the result of that. The police are sensitized. They now can tell persons, well, maybe you need to be housed, you need to call the crisis center, you need to let them know, and they will in turn do what's necessary if you need to be housed there or housed somewhere else.
The fight against homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia is far from finished, but a key advocate is reporting notable progress. This was the clear message from founder of Sexuality, Health and Empowerment Barbados, Rohan Mohammed, as interest groups gathered at the United Nations House to celebrate International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia.
I think following the success that we had in Pride last year and during the Pride Parade, there has been a larger outpouring of support, not just from the community, but from allies and general supporters. And some of that support does come from the church, and not just the Christian church, but people of all faiths and all denominations. And I do think it's important to remember that when we do hear criticism from religious platforms, that doesn't always represent the entire church or the entire religious body.
It was a grand farewell for legendary Barbadian batsman Seymour Nurse. A fitting ceremony at Kensington Oval saw friends, family dignitaries, including Governor General Dame Sandra Mason, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, and the national hero Sir Garfield Sobers, and members of the cricketing fraternity, celebrating the life of the revered batsman. President of the Empire Cricket Club, Adrian King, told the gathering that Barbados has lost not only a mighty cricketer, but a tremendous man.
Seymour Nurse is one of those giants upon whose shoulders we as a club stand. 105-year-old institutions like Empire exist and, more importantly, remain relevant to sports, our society, and our country because of distinguished sons of our soil like Seymour Nurse. He, along with our other stalwarts, have contributed and helped to shape and define who we are as a club, and I dare say a nation. We will miss his sober counsel, wise leadership, and his strong character. Empire Club is the richer for his presence and camaraderie, and the poorer for his loss.
Delivering the eulogy, Sir David Simmons recounted how Nurse made his indelible mark in the cricketing world.
Seymour demonstrated his class and stature as a world-class batsman during the tour to England in 1966. He amassed a total of 501 runs in the test matches, second only to Sir Gary's 722. And in that series, just as Barbados was announcing its readiness to take its place among the nations of the world, in similar manner, Seymour proved his readiness to be acclaimed among the top batsmen in the world. The Bible of Cricket, Wisden, named him among the top 5 cricketers of the year in its 1967 edition.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to regional news now. Authorities in Jamaica are alarmed that thousands of children are losing out on early childhood education. We get more in this Television Jamaica report.
Even as more infant and basic schools are being upgraded, thousands of children of that age level are being kept home.
And right now, when we have done the study, we find that there is 100,000 students who are not attending infant school in the country. That is 100,000 who are entering at the primary school level. And even if you cut it in half, you're likely to have 50,000 students not being able to maximize their potential.
The education minister says this is worrying as the impact will be felt long term.
And you know what? Unless they have special talent or they devote themselves to it or they get a lot of help, they will be forever playing catch-up.
And on the international scene, Britain's tumultuous divorce from the European Union was again in disarray on Friday after the opposition Labour Party declared the last-ditch talks dead due to Prime Minister Theresa May's crumbling government. More in this report from Reuters Television.
Conservatives. They tried to find a way out of the Brexit disarray, but last-ditch cross-party talks between Britain's Prime Minister and the opposition leader have failed. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Labour's Jeremy Corbyn said he felt discussions had gone as far as they can, insisting May's government had become unstable, its authority eroded, and undermining confidence in the government's ability to deliver any compromise agreement.
Is this make or break, Prime Minister?
The news came just hours after Theresa May revealed on Thursday she'll set out a timeline for her departure in early June. The PM says she'll go after a fourth and final attempt to push her Brexit deal through Parliament. May has promised to step down after it's approved by lawmakers, but many in her party want her to quit if the deal is rejected again. Others want her out immediately.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Do have a wonderful weekend.